Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you very much for joining us for our weekend weather update and the outlook for next week. And we're tracking this storm in the Southern Ocean and the severe weather it's bringing into the Tasman Sea and therefore into parts of New Zealand. On the animated satellite map, you can see front number 1. That came through Friday morning with some damaging hail on the west coast, severe thunderstorms for the North Island's western side, and some squally showers. And then it was gone and the sun was out. Here is front number 2. This is coming in for Friday afternoon for the west coast, and then overnight tonight along the western side of the North Island. Same setup, burst of downpours, isolated thunderstorms, and maybe a small tornado, and maybe even some damaging hail. Once that's gone, you can see this big southerly coming through. That is the next feature, and it's going to drive in more of the same weather though for the New Zealand area. Another pulse though of cold southerlies coming in for Tasmania and Victoria. Now I want to show you this map from our friends at predictwind.com. This is showing you the next few days ahead as this storm system tracks past New Zealand but also has other centres to it. As you can see here on Sunday, there's a bigger surge of winds. The areas in red showing gale force winds. So big strong winds coming through, and then as we go into Monday and Tuesday next week, still got this low pressure zone down to the south, still blustery, and by the time we get to Wednesday, that is finally when we start to see those winds easing, and it'll be a lot warmer on Wednesday with these winds coming out of Australia. Now we've got some rain on the way for New Zealand. Here is the updated 3-day rainfall map. The area that's still showing extreme rain in the mountains above Franz Josef, which will be turning to snow as well. Heavy falls there, but all this area in blue, well over 100 millimetres still yet to come through. Same story around the Central Plateau. Rainfall totals also quite high down here in the lower North Island, where you've been getting those severe thunderstorms coming through. And we've got snow on the way as well, obviously. Updated map looks the same as the last few days have been showing. Over 1 metre, 1 to 1.5 metres of snow along the tops of the mountains. And then lower down, the pale blue that you see there, that's just showing a few flurries, nothing too major in there. The dark blue though, that is where it gets more serious, and that's where you're likely to see some road and highway issues. And a little dusting for the Central Plateau. That will get a little more significant, I think, earlier into next week when the colder side of that weather moves into the North Island. Just a close-up of that snow, because a lot of people live obviously around here and you want to know how low it will actually go. You can see it is quite patchy down around these lower areas. So northern Southland, you'll be getting it on the hills and ranges. It'll be close to Gore, if not falling in Gore, Lumsden, Te Anau, Queenstown. They'll all be getting some flurries. And then Dunedin looks as though you're on the outer edges of it, but can't rule it out. Could always see a few flurries around. So here is the storm system itself, parked directly south of New Zealand. Very low air pressure, down to the 950s hectopascals. So that's very deep, and it stretches all the way up to the top of New Zealand and all the way out to the edges of Victoria and Tasmania. And it's scooping up airflows from parts of Antarctica, which is, I said yesterday, it's a little unusual. I mean in the sense of it coming from so far south. Usually we get a lot of southerlies that come off the ice shelves, but further down, that's just the way the system's set up. So let's take a look at the forecast. Here is Saturday. There is the storm at 9:50, but it's got these other centres to it around it, and they're all caught up in its orbit. So here are the big winds staying the same for the North Island, still fairly mild. Overnight lows are above average by 4 or 5 degrees at the moment in the North Island. That doesn't change over the next few nights, so it's still mild. But those downpours continue to come through, blustery at times, especially in central New Zealand. Eastern areas will be driest, and there's a surge of wet weather also coming in for Southland, and on the other side, wintry weather coming in for Tasmania and just clipping parts of Victoria. Otherwise, this enormous high is keeping things fairly settled. As we go into Sunday, the low changes shape, and we've got a new kind of centre forming here at 960 hectopascals. That's also very deep, and is the reason why we're seeing all those isobars. And that means it will be windy at times in certain areas, especially around the mountains and Cook Strait. And then later on, it'll be getting windier going into Auckland as this low pressure zone sort of tracks a little bit further eastwards. Now here is the swell map coming in from predictwind.com. This is showing you Sunday night going now into Monday, and these swells coming through 6-7 metres. So these are really big waves and swells coming into the western side. And then around Wednesday, there's another surge down here in the south, and it takes right through until Thursday of next week. for things to finally calm down. So you can see those maps over at Predict Wind. So here we are into Monday, and that storm system tracking past. It is weakening a little bit, but 969 is still very deep. And if we hadn't got to 950, we would, and this was the storm coming in, we would be headlining that it will be 969. So the fact that it's getting down to 950 is quite remarkable. So windy weather, especially further northwards. Auckland could have gale force winds on Monday and severe gales through central parts of the country, but not so bad the further south you are, where you're closer to the low. Heavy rain turning to heavy snow in the mountains. Strong winds on Monday. Severe gales in the purple, that's gusting over 100 k's an hour in the Wellington and Marlborough Sounds areas, and then up here in Auckland around 80 k's an hour, and actually 80 to 100 even down towards parts of Taranaki and even Farewell Spit. So that is lunchtime on Monday. Now we go to Tuesday, and there's a bit of a sigh of relief because that big high that I talked about in Australia just before, that's it here as we get into Tuesday, and it's stretched out sideways now. So that changes things a wee bit, and it tilts the winds into a more westerly fashion. The storm down here now down to 948, so still a remarkable system as it tracks now away from us. And our final map for Wednesday, autumn-like or spring-like, we'll stay autumn. Windy westerlies blowing through across the country, the usual kind of weather around New Zealand, and stormy again around Bass Strait. That's all from me. That was a lot to talk about. Back again on Monday with our next update as that storm system moves in. And of course, we'll be providing you with special updates over at weatherwatch.co.nz. Please go there. And if you're on Twitter, WeatherWatchNZ, go and follow us there. We'll be doing multiple updates, live updates as various systems come on through. That's all from me. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. See you Monday.